week 3, guys. Welcome to the Thunderdome. Welcome back. I'm so excited that you're here. Hopefully these last 2 weeks you have felt like the Lord has walked you out in a season of power, that you have clarity to see what he's doing. And now we're going to understand his timing. It's one thing to understand the wilderness. It's another thing to understand your season, but it's an absolute, completely different thing to understand God's timing. God's timing is something you can't really understand or put your finger on, because God's timing is not Eastern Standard Time. God's timing is not Pacific, whatever. It's kingdom. It's heavenly. It's beyond our understanding. Bill Johnson of Bethel says, peace that surpasses all understanding is only given to those that give up the right to understand. And so when I think about God's timing, I try not to put, I don't understand it. And I don't try to understand it. And so we find Peter in this story. He's just said, Jesus, you're the Messiah. And then Jesus is like, don't tell anybody, which makes no sense. Because in our culture, if we look at it, this is the ancient culture, but if we look at our culture and God tells us something, we want to immediately share it, whether it's on Instagram or Facebook or with a friend or a phone call or a text. And I wonder what it would look like if we paused. I wonder what it would look like if we were people of not now. Let me explain this. Story time with Chari begins now. All right. So I met my husband when I was 14, and we didn't date until we were 18. He's so cute. I love his little face. And we went to prom together. Yes, I have pictures. Begin the scroll now. So, my husband and I dated for 6 months, and I was just a total absolute butthole. I'm not gonna lie, it was my fault that we broke up. I broke up with him because I was just not a nice person, and he didn't match my aesthetic at the time. I thought I was like a 90s pop star. I don't know. I found pictures of me in a field with a guitar recently. I was just really embarrassed by it. I want to drink this coffee, but I feel like you're gonna be weirded out by it. Anyways, we broke up for 6 months. I didn't have the maturity to understand how awesome he was. And then around 20 years old, the Lord told me, hey, stop dating. You've already met your husband. And I was like, for real, Jesus? And he was like, for real. I was like, cool, who is it? And he's like, Esteban. Like, I have the journals, guys, where I was like, what are you saying? I didn't hear you correctly. He was like, it's Esteban. He goes, you're going to get married. What you don't know is that Esteban had a very serious girlfriend at the time. And so I just tried to help Jesus along. And I told Esteban, yo, we're going to get married. The Lord told me, I'm going to need you to break up with homegirl. And he was like, you're out of your mind. But we did. We got together and we're married, 17 years later. And but I always laugh at that story because I always tried to push forward the process of God. Like, I didn't understand the timing. I didn't understand that now looking back on all this time later, 17 years later, Esteban needed that time to work out some stuff. And I definitely needed some time to work out some stuff. And we even broke up after we got together. We broke up. We got together because I ransacked the situation and told him he needed to date me because God told me. And he loved me and I loved him, and we had known each other since we were 14 years old. So he did this. And we got engaged really fast. I would say within 10 weeks we were engaged, and we broke up immediately. We realized we hadn't really taken the time to know each other again. And there's a lot of cultural stuff. And so we broke up for 6 months. And then the Lord worked some things out in me, and I begged him to take me back. And then we got together, and we were almost divorced in the first year. And I think of that season where God was like, hey, this guy's going to be your husband. And instead of me waiting to watch God work things out, I pushed forward the process. It's funny now looking back on, man, I wonder what would have happened if I would have just shut my mouth. I wonder what would have happened if I would have just let Esteban work out whatever he was working out and let God grow in me what he needed to grow in me. But instead, I pushed forward the process. And we ended up together, thank God. And God in his goodness and his timing, he allowed me in my crazy to still get the guy and still be in love and still do all the right things. And But man, I can't tell you how many times in my life that I've tried to help God push forward the process. I think of Sarah, in the Bible where she was like, I haven't had a baby yet. Here, Abraham, take my maidservant. Or Moses, when he was like, I don't really think I can do this. Let me go get Aaron. And then halfway in the wilderness, Aaron's like, oh, golden calf, let's do that. I don't want to leave room for those type of errors or doubt in my life. So now I try to take the time and let God work out whatever he's going to work in me. And so you find in this story, Peter's like, you're the Messiah. And he's like, that's awesome, Peter. I'm so happy you know that. Tell no one. And so I think a lot of times in our life, God's like, I'm so happy that you know that. I'm so happy that you understand the wilderness. I'm so happy you know what season you're in. But it's not yet. Hold on, not now. So this week, I'm going to ask you to take the time. If you take the time to hear from God, to seek God, to let him work out things in you. Also, this is something I want you to do this week, but this is also something I want you to do in your life, okay? Is understanding God's timing is so much more than just waiting. It's like really truly understanding what surrender and sacrifice is with your life, that you take every bit of who you are, you surrender it and say, you do with it what you will when you want. I'm just going to be over here loving you. And if you can do that, there's a level of maturity that happens. You'll gain this week a level of maturity of understanding that. Discretion is knowing what you should be doing. Discernment's knowing what God is doing. But man, discretion, it's like nobody has it. Everybody just overshares. Everybody's just like, here's my life on a screen. And I know this because now I work in TV, and it's just mind-boggling to me what people share that's not even real. And the world needs real. The world needs authentic. The world needs Jesus. It needs Jesus so bad. And you have an opportunity this week to give the world Jesus by loving people, by serving people, by understanding that just because you have something, it doesn't mean that you need to share it yet. I'm kind of obsessed with fruit. Maybe it's because I don't have kids or I can't have kids, but I'm writing a book called Fruitful, Motherhood and Lack Thereof. And it's all about understanding the fruit of your life and maturing the fruit. And so this week, it's all about maturing, right? That's what you gain if you take the time to seek God, to pray to God, to ask him what you should be doing in certain situations. Anyways, going back to the fruitful thing, I have a lime tree outside, and I saw all these limes, and I was so happy because I've been waiting for this tree to finally bear fruit. And I went and I took all the limes off and I brought them into the kitchen, and I was like, babe, look at the limes. Oh my God. And I cut them and they were horrible. What I didn't know is that I had left one out there. And so several weeks have passed, and all of a sudden that joker turned yellow because it was not a lime tree. It was a lemon tree. I did not know. I don't plant or do things like that. And so I feel like a lot of times we see fruit and we see what God is doing, and we're like, let's share it. We're Peter. This is awesome. I'm glad I know this. And God's like, not yet. You think you know, but you have no idea that what you're about to give people is not the fruit that I need you to give them. And it's not ready. So let's let God take the time to mature the fruit in us, to mature our patience, all the fruits of the Spirit, joy, compassion, kindness, self-control, all those things that God is trying to build out in us as a people. Let's take the time to let him do it. Because when he does, I look at my marriage and I look at the things that God has given me, and I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful. And yeah, I'm just thankful. So let's take the time this week and let God mature some stuff in us, because if he does, the other side of it is really awesome.